So good afternoon, and hope you've had a wonderful NDC Security so far. I always like speaking at this conference. It's one of my home conferences because I'm based out in Stavanger. How many of you have seen me talk before? Great. How many of you used to a bit of a fun talk? Bit of a laugh, giggles? It's not this talk. I'm really sorry to say. I will warn you, I built this talk out of a little kind of conversation I had with another parent, and it's about child safety online, how to keep your kids safe, what can happen, and it is ultimately dark because I take and I reveal what really happens online. So it is, I give fair warning. I give you 2 warnings. This is the first one. I will be talking about things like child sex abuse material, pedophilia. I'll be talking about suicide, revenge porn, or revenge imagery, blackmails and catfishing, and drugs. And it's quite dark what I'll discuss, but I just want to make sure that you are well aware before you walk in here, and it is perfectly acceptable to decide this is not the talk I want to go see because I like thinking nice things today. So with that in mind, I normally call this talk, Won't Somebody Please Think of the Children? And it's called Internet Security because of the fact that when I talk to one of my other really good speaker friends called David Whitney, he kind of says, anyone who says, can somebody please think of the children, is usually not thinking of the children. It's usually the exact opposite. And I kind of agreed with him, so I'm going to retool the talk name. My name is Niall. I am an ATS at Microsoft, which means I'm a virtual CTO from Microsoft towards some of our large oil and gas and energy customers. I work with Equinor specifically. And previous to this, I was the head of cybersecurity at Capgemini in the Nordics. I've worked with security for a long time, and I am a parent. I have 2 lovely kids. I have a 13-year-old boy and a 9-year-old girl. They are both digital natives. They haven't grown up without security, or without computers in their house. There's more technically connected stuff in our house than there was in the internet in 1980. But we have more devices, and most of you in this room will probably be the same. You have a connected TV, you have connected phones, you have everything. So before we begin, one of the things I kind of want to tell people, because I give this talk for free to schools. I've taken this talk and said, this is a public service thing. If your school would like this talk, or towards your parents, or a version of this that is more appropriate to children, I do that as well if I'm in the area, and I just try and link up with the school and help them out. And I was asked by one school, and they said, what would it cost? And I said, it costs a cup of coffee. That's it. If I'm there, I'll do it for free. I feel this is good stuff. That said, I am not here to tell you how to parent your kids. If you are a parent, I am literally on chapter 13 and chapter 9 in the manuals because of who I have. But when it comes to cybersecurity and tech, I am usually very far ahead of everyone else. And I tell this to all people I talk to because I want them to understand that I am still learning as a parent. Everything I'm doing, I'm still learning. I make mistakes a lot. And the more I make mistakes, the more I learn. And if you're not a parent, but you might be that lovely person who is the technical support for the people around you, and where because you're here at NDC Security and you're probably interested and you're technically minded, there's people who say, hey, my kids are on the internet, what should I do? Then this talk is also for you, because this will help you understand and be able to give advice to the people around you. Now, that is kind of where this is coming from. How this talk was built was because I was on our local FAO. For those who are not Norwegian speaking, it's the with the Parent Association, PTA. And I had a parent who desperately said, listen, Niall, I've been dying to talk to you because I don't understand this tech business. And I went, okay. And my son is the only person I can ask, and he's the person setting up his own phone. I don't know what he's doing. I'm terrified something's going to go wrong. I went, let me show you. And I sat down with him for 2 hours, and I went through a lot of this stuff, and I said, no, not what I'm going to show you, but I said, this is what you can do. And he goes, I wish someone would teach us. And I said, I can do that. So this is what it is. So I always start with my lovely kind of analogy for the internet, scissors. When you're given a pair of scissors as a little kid, the first thing your parents will say to you is, don't run with those, because you might fall and you might stab yourself, you might hurt yourself. And it's great. because we know parents understand the risk. Sharp things with little kids invariably leads to someone getting cut, hurt, or whatever, because that's what happens. They'll make mistakes. The thing is, the internet is very like a pair of scissors. We have the most powerful tool that humans have ever created. It gives you access to all knowledge. You can go and Google and go on Wikipedia and you can say, I want to find out when was who was the second pope? Everyone knows who the first pope is, but no one ever knows who the second guy was. And I was like, if you've ever ended up in the Wikipedia drain hole where you've clicked on one link and all of a sudden you're 16 links deep and it's 2 o'clock in the morning, but you're very knowledgeable about popes. So that was, and I said, like, cool. But when you're given the internet as a child, you're never told, be careful. You're just told, best of luck, good luck. Here it is. You can have Snapchat, you can have this, you can have that. And no one kind of says, let's give you some guidelines on how to behave or what to do with it. Because the internet is dangerous. It can provide ultimate great harm. We have seen disinformation, elections trying to be manipulated. We have seen an incredible amount of imagery and gore and other stuff and all this type of thing being sent out and people accidentally finding it and going, ugh, and causing them great harm, mentally and physically. So I'm going to start with a little bit of information. And I'm going to ask a general question because most of you may know, maybe not know. For those of you who are familiar with social media apps, you nearly always have to be 13 years old to use them, right? Does everyone know why? I will take that the standard Norwegian answer of, yes, we do, we're just not going to tell you. Shit, I made a joke in the middle of a very dark talk. It's a US thing. Yes, it is not because of content. Most people think it's because you have to be 13 because it's content. Because when you get that, you're U and PG, and when you get to 13, we might see some boobies, or we might hear the words, some stuff. There might be something in there. It's not because of that. And that's usually where most parents go, really? And I said, no, it's because of COPPA, the Child Online Privacy Protection Act. And COPPA is an act that was designed in 1997 and enacted in 2000 in the US. And what they determined was children under the age of 13 were not adults, and their data had to be protected. And if you wanted to have people's data from that age, you had to protect that data, you had to have audit, and you had to have stricter controls to get access to it. And companies in the US went, no, I don't want to do that, so therefore you have to be over the age of 13. Because when you don't pay for an app, where do you pay for it? You pay for it with eyeballs on advertising. And they can't sell you the 12-year-old's data to an advertiser, so they say, right, we don't make any money from this, why should we be investing money to keep it? So they decide not to do it. Now, it is a very lax interpretation of the, did you check for their age? Yes, they said they were 13. We're good. And that's all that matters, but they still have to say that's why you're 13. And now, with newer kind of versions of phones and whatever, they actually do check to your other ages and you can't just bypass it. So think of it very much like GDPR for children. It is to ensure that they maintain the right for privacy. It's a fact that it's a lot older than we think it is, but that's because someone had the smart idea back in about 97 that this could be a problem. Now, my 13-year-old, he was 12 at the time, I took him to an open debate in Stavanger in southern Norway, where we had the Minister for Education was talking about this and this is for our non-Norwegian speakers, should there be a 15-year-old age limit for TikTok and Snap? Now, this was a public debate. It wasn't we were trying to implement it. And we had 14-year-olds here kind of giving their views, and they weren't as polished, of course, as the politicians. And my son was watching back and forth, and he's saying, this is what I said, listen to the arguments for both sides so you can understand what's going to happen. And he says, well, what do you think, Papa? And I says, I personally think it's both a good and bad idea. I said, if you look at Australia now, they've implemented 16-year-old for social media, and there's the UK and Ireland are thinking of similar things, and there's other kind of areas. Will this work or not? I don't know. Because generally we find if we put blanket bans on things, it can cause problems. Like if we want to see in 1929, they had prohibition in the US or whatever, and all of a sudden there was bootleggers everywhere, and we'll find variants of Snapchat, like when TikTok was pretended to be banned in the US. All of a sudden, there was TikTok variants just popped out of nowhere. You can't blanket ban this stuff. You just have to have better understanding and thoughts around it. I also follow some social media online because, it would be weird not to. But this one is from Polity Survest. It's one of their netpatruljas. It's a fantastic resource. It's really kind of clever because they put out a lot of information for parents. But this one struck me because my wife sent this to me. She says, "Niall, did you see this?" She knew I was building this talk. And I said, "Vi foreldrene har vært naive lenge nok. Barn på 9 år skal ikke være på social media." For non-English speaking or non-Norwegian speaking, we parents have been naive for too long. Children as young as 9 should not be on social media. I definitely agree with this. I had a lovely mother argue with me saying, "Why shouldn't my daughter be on social media at 9? She's very smart, and if she gets on early, she'll get very good at it." And I looked at her, and I wish I had the common sense and thoughts at the time. When someone says something to you and you get the smart reply as you walk away? That was this. And I went, "Do you let her drive?" And she goes, because, we could practice from when we're 9 and we'd be very good at it by the time we're 18. And I thought of this and I said, but it was just this naivety and this kind of, it's okay. And I didn't want to criticize her. I said, but in my head, I was like, you are definitely wrong here. And I kind of then took a sharp turn and said, let me show you why. So here's the second warning. From the next about 20 minutes, it gets exceptionally hard and dark. I gave this talk in Hello Stavanger in October. I just about managed to keep my shit together. There is language in this. There is a lot of adult themes, and I'm warning you now, and if you stay in, good luck. This is Andrew McCartney. Andrew is from down in Antrim County Down in Northern Ireland. At the time of his arrest, he is probably one of the most prolific pedophiles they've ever caught. He, in the course of 4 years, and this is when he was 22, in the course of 21, in the course of about 4 years, he managed to catfish approximately 3,500 victims with an average age of 12, but with ages ranging from 3 to 17. Over the course of 4 years, he managed to coerce young girls, predominantly, to take intimate photos of themselves, send them to him, and he kept this going for quite a long time. How he was discovered was the Scottish police received a tip from a girl who said that this had happened to her, and through their investigations figured out this was actually happening with someone in Northern Ireland, and they sent a request to the PNSI, the police service in Northern Ireland, to follow it up, and through their really good investigative work, they managed to discover that it was him. They raided his house. They discovered 64 different devices containing thousands of images and videos that he had received and shared with other pedophiles around the world, containing multiple different identities. He had catfished these children over the course of 4 years, and is the first person I know of that was convicted of manslaughter over social media. I cannot describe the depravity or the cruelty of this man in adequate words. So I'm actually going to show you a video here of a police officer describing this.
Each offending followed a very similar pattern. So when he had identified a victim and got that first photograph from them, he actually had a pre-prepared threat saved in his phone, which he would cut and paste into the chat to advise the child that they were now being catfished, that he had their image, and that they had to do what he said or else. You had little girls, sort of an average age of 10 to 12 years old, many times, being threatened in the most depraved way to do these things to themselves and provide McCartney with the images. His offending was round the clock. and it was difficult to know when he actually did anything else. From the beginning of the case, the level of abuse was so horrific that we were fearful that when these children were identified, would they be okay? Unfortunately, our worst fears were realised when we discovered some way into the case that one of the little girls had taken her own life. The real feature of this case is the complete cowardice of McCartney in targeting children who were so young and very vulnerable. We were absolutely determined to bring him to justice, and the bravery of the victims was just an inspiration to us, because as police identified them, they were giving us evidence. Some of the children had raised the alarm, which helped police to actually identify him in the first place. But some of the children, until police knocked the door, they had never told anyone what they'd been through.
The little girl in question is Simran Thomas. She was 9 years old. She was catfished by McCartney, and over the course was adding more and more kind of videos. And then he discovered she had a little sister, and told and said, I want you to involve her. And she said, no, I would rather kill myself. He pasted back a picture with a timer of an hour and a half and says, TikTok, get on with it. The little girl went downstairs, took her retired veteran father's gun and shot herself. And her father found her. 18 months later, he committed suicide, not knowing why his daughter killed herself. It is one of the reasons why he was convicted for manslaughter as well as paedophilia on this charge. And you may be wondering what particular social media platform they were using, and it was Snapchat. And through Snapchat, it was very easy because it is a very popular, it's the most popular messaging app with teens and right now, including my son. He spends, it's how he communicates with a lot of stuff. If I want to send him a message, I use Snapchat. I don't text or call because he'll never answer. But a snap I'll get back in seconds. And what he would do, and this is a redacted kind of and a sample of what would happen here, is that McCartney would use a similar language, assume the persona of a 13 or 12 or 13-year-old girl, connect to the person, because you can find people through quick ad, etc., and use that then to kind of just get in contact, because the kids were like, oh, someone added me, I kind of recognize their name, they might be a friend of a friend of a friend, and would strike up a conversation, and over time would do this, kind of catch the person out, etc. And it just grows from there. Now, I went online, I did a lot of research on this, in the fact that I went on to likes of Reddit, and I went on to I read a lot of police reports, and I've read a lot of different kind of information on this to try and show you kind of what's coming out. And this is like from a Reddit support forum where people who have been sexploited or kind of blackmailed through kind of catfishing put forward some of their what's happened. And this is usually how it starts, as very kind of simple as this. But you'll see here it says, oh, yep, how old are you? Based on you're older than me, I was just beginning to be polite and replying, I'm just 14. I mean, that's not a problem, lol, I'm 25. In any other conversation, this would be considered very, very weird. But this kind of being open and people kind of thinking it's okay, etc. It leads very quickly to a kind of discussion here of, I have to unfortunately read up here, bitch, are you ready to pay $500 to my Apple Pay because I'm ready to spoil your life? I'm ready to mail all the damn pictures to your handbill and etc. You will blame yourself. The victim is blamed because they made a mistake, not the aggressor. It automatically forces you to think you are at the person who is wrong. It's a very standard psychological tactic to force you to kind of go, I made a mistake and now I have to try and fix it. It gets more aggressive. This is a standard issue bit. I will fuck you up, posting all your nudes until totally visible to everyone you know. All I have to do to get me to do what I want, and I'll consider not posting your information out. It's a aggressive tactic. Or else I'll post this and ruin your life. All this is from Reddit. It's unfortunately a growing trend, and there is a standard issue playbook for this. They're known as lore books in the undergrounds, where attackers will try, and they know these things will put pressure on the right people and get them to do what they want. And they'll get paid for $500. We're talking very limited amount of money. But for a lot of people, it's too much. Sextortion is growing. And unfortunately, it's not just women it's also affecting a horrendous amount of teen boys. And even more so, when I looked at this is when I was doing the research in 2025 in October, it says, is a growing threat to teen boys and has led to at least 20 suicides. When I gave this presentation in October, it was more like 44. And that was just in the US alone that I could find. And it's horrible to think that someone will die because they sent a naked picture of themselves accidentally or on purpose, and it shouldn't happen like that. My timer is about to go off in 1 second now. That is 9 minutes. That is the length of time it took McCartney to blackmail one of his victims. You're still sitting here, and he has done and managed to get the photo out of one of the kids. 9 minutes. It's a terrifying thought when you have it. I want you to meet Jordan DeMaio. Jordan looks like any atypical American collegiate all-star. You'd see him on Dawson's Creek or any soaps, whatever. He's blonde, blue eyes, plays quarterback. You could say he's straight out of a soap opera. And Jordan was catfished by a group calling themselves, I think, what is it called? Danny. So at 10 o'clock in the evening, Jordan, 17, leaves his home, or his girlfriend's home. And Jordan received an unknown Instagram message from a person called Danny. And at around midnight, he sent a nude photo to Danny. And minutes later, the blackmail began. 3:30 in the morning, 3.5 hours later, he sent a final message to his girlfriend. And moments later, Jordan ended his life by suicide. He actually sent another message to his mother. And I'm going to just change my resolution here so I can actually read this a bit more, because this is a horrifying view into the last moments of a teenage boy. Why are you doing this? I am begging for my own life. 10, 9, 8. I bet your girlfriend will leave you for some other dude. I'll be dead. Like I want to KMS right now, kill myself. Sure, I'll watch you die a miserable death. It's over, you win, bro. I'm KMS right now because of you. Good, do that, make it fast, and I swear, or I will do it, and I swear to God. 3:30 in the morning, Kyla, I love you so much. I made a mistake, and I wish I could continue, but I can't do this anymore. This was a choice I made, and I must pay for it myself. He sent his mother a message at 3:43, which was, Mother, I love you. And 3:45, we estimate he was dead. He was found by his father the following day, and they've discovered it was two brothers from an African country and another one where they were extradited to the US and given 17 years in prison. Unfortunately, he's not the only one. When I built this deck, I showed it to my wife. And at one point she says, Niall, you need to stop. You're going to hurt people with this. Calm down. Don't terrorize an audience. Make it factual, but don't, be good. And I said, okay. So I said, I wouldn't show you as much of what I was. There's hundreds of photos, unfortunately. But these are all kids who have lost their lives due to catfishing. And I of the honest belief that no kid should die because they sent a nude photograph to somebody. Amanda Todd's video is out online, and it's a cry for help due to bullying. And she just does it via cue cards, and it's still online on YouTube. If you want to watch probably one of the most harrowing and heartfelt cries for help, it's there. And it should be a required watching for people who think that bullying over the internet is okay. It is absolutely a masterpiece and a testament to her bravery of what she did. Riley Basford was 90 minutes from when he was originally contacted to before he was dead. So I'm going to give you something. If someone is attacked like this, give them brave. Block the predator. Report the account. Ask for help. Validate. Remember, the victim, the criminal is the only one at fault here, not the victim. Don't blame. And educate. And this is the educate business. We need to be brilliant as security professionals in our trade and our craft to help people get through this. To ensure that no one loses their life just due to something so stupid. That people understand that, yes, mistakes happen, but I shouldn't die for it, or that the only way I think out of it is actually suicide. It's a horrible thought. It is a difficult topic. I'm going to pivot a little bit to drugs, because unfortunately Snapchat is a very good way to buy drugs. Danish researchers did a phenomenal job on this, because this was a fascinating view into understanding how these systems work. I came from where if you wanted to buy drugs, you had to go onto the Silk Road or know people. Now all you have to do is open up Snapchat, type in a slang word and a location, and you can probably find the local drug dealer in your area. By looking the word snow, Copenhagen, they were able to kind of find the different people they wanted. And you can see snowman, better delivery than bring, snow in Copenhagen, snow Copenhagen, etc. And the thing is, as soon as you connect to these people, you will get offers. Here is what you will, like you buy, if you buy in bulk, you get it for cheaper. And there's like, the first taste is free, whatever. And it's a very quick way to find how to get drugs. And it's Snapchat. Most people think this is a fine thing to give my 12-year-old. They enter the wrong thing. They're sitting on doing this weird stuff. And the thing is, by using the quick ad afterwards, you can find other people who are doing similar things. You can get the idea of the brick for the block of hash, or you can buy steroids. But it also leads to other different parts. And this is where I kind of had this conversation with one adult, and I said, well, my son, he's always getting these reps, he calls them. And I says, yeah, when we were young, we used to call them just fake merchandise, And he goes, are they really that? And I said, they're not replicas. Replicas is a posh way of saying it's not real, and therefore they're fake. It's not Gucci, it's Fucci, And the problem is that you can start here and it leads to other parts. Because once they get you hooked on certain things, they will go and say, hey, you want to do something else. Like, hey, I'd like to get a driver to deliver my drugs. I'm seeking a driver, will pay for the weekend to deliver piffed, slang for cocaine. And it leads to other offers, like, for example, who's willing to consists of selling things like masturbation videos, strip videos, and of course, dirty talking. With the general rise of certain kind of social media tactics, people are thinking this is okay, etc. But I'm not advocating against sex workers. I'm advocating against underage sex workers. This is not a case. And it's a very difficult thing. And by using things like SnapMap, you can also see where potentially you're being left out or where other people are, etc. It's a difficult topic because for most people, once I show them this, they're going, I didn't know you could do that with Snapchat. And I said, well, that's unfortunately because that's how other people are using it. And that's where I learned from my son. I said, show me how you use Snapchat. Now, I know how I don't really use Snapchat that much because maybe I'm just the wrong age group for it. It's not something I grew up with or something I feel the need. I like to remember stuff. I'm forgetting enough stuff as it is. I'd like to remember more. But I kind of think he works in that way, and I'm happy he does. But I've asked how he uses it, and I'll show you some of the stuff that we've done with him to make it easier. TikTok has actually hit PST's national Trusabilde, as in our national threat picture, as a potential area for radicalization of young people. And I find this fascinating, but then I understand why. I was having a good chat with Michelle Bustamante, if you haven't met her, she's a lovely security woman from the US. And we were discussing the fact that, people who feel that they're not wanted or don't have enough friends and they find somewhere where they're validated will kind of go, I'll go back to it. And the more they hear something, it becomes nearly like it's been repeated, therefore it's okay, and it becomes normal, and then it becomes a standard for them. And they've said that it's actually becoming a thing for inciting terror. They're turning the peaceful religion of Islam against people because of, someone's saying this is what you're doing, or they're fighting, and it's causing issues. So the PST has actually said we think people are being brought into a right-wing extremism, and specifically in Rogaland. I found this online. I had to go and read the PST report to kind of understand what they were saying. And it's just because the fact is that it is appealing to some folks and then it becomes normalized. And when stuff becomes normalized, then it becomes like standard issue racism or whatever, where it's like no one cares. And people don't go, yeah, you're being wrong. They actually just don't call you out on it. So it's a very challenging bit here. So this is a kind of a Norwegian, I'll skip over this one bit. But I want to introduce you to Una. And Una's 18 years old. She loves video games and football, and she's finishing her high school year. Speaks many languages, and she's completely AI generated. And AI, as we know, is the new thing that everyone's using. So I looked at AI and I tried to figure out how much of, say, a Facebook feed is AI slop, and it's getting extreme. And you're seeing AI voiceovers of some stuff, and it's just getting challenging to actually find correct content, etc. But AI is a difficult nut to crack. It is another superb tool. I've been using it to do proof of concepts with Claude. I think Copilot CLI, bang out this piece of code. I feel productive and I can do stuff, and it's awesome. But then I also remember my security background, and it says, okay, validate your code you just wrote. And it goes, it ain't good. Let's do some work. So I'm going to give you a little test. I'm going to ask you, which one of these people is AI generated? And I'm going to get you to put up your hands. I'm going to ask you, is it number one? If you think it's number one, put up your hand. A couple of people, not so many. Number two. Some people. Number three. You played this game before. Number four. Okay. If you put up your hand at all, you're right, because they're all AI generated. Now, I do this with adults and I do this with kids. And I get the kids get upset with me because I don't give them the full talk. Believe me, I don't give them the whole stuff you just saw. I give them other stuff. But they said, Niall, you said one of those kids is AI generated. I said, yes, there's one of all of them. Every one of them. One is in four, it works. All four are AI generated. Now, they find it fascinating and they think, but it's, that's not so bad. This comes from thispersondoesn'texist.org. You can go in, you can type in who you need to get, create a face, and off you go, job done. No issue. And they find that extremely interesting. And then I have parents going, yeah, but we've had Photoshop for years now. No one cares about making fake photos anymore. It says, well, what if I could make them move?
Want to see your crush kiss you? AI has got you covered. Just upload 2 photos. That's it. Try Reviva for AI kiss, hug, and more.
Anyone see the problem here? Your reaction, madam, is exactly what I thought. Oh boy. Reviva is actually, it's marketed as an app to help your pictures come alive. Now, it's a very simple thing that can be misused by, someone taking 2 photos they can find online, putting them together, and all of a sudden you look like you're making out with your local cousin. But I'll be very open with you. I was bullied in high school. The bullying was at school, but it never went home. I never worried about going home. I only worried when I went to school, and it didn't last for too long. I solved the problem doing it a very Irish way with severe violence. It's not my proudest moment, but it started a problem. Now it is possible for the bullying to follow you home. And even more so, it can be stuff, like we've all heard the tattletales, I saw you, hanging out with XYZ. I wasn't doing that. And now there's videos of everything. Then we can now create the videos of everything, and then it becomes a more difficult problem to solve. And people are going, yeah, but like, you know, this is an app and whatever, but like you can't really do much with that. And I says, well, yeah, no. This is using Hugging Face, and this is from September 2025. One thing I want to point out to you is that LLM models will be their worst as they are today. They are only getting better. So these things are only getting smarter and better as we go along. And I have shown this to, for example, in another talk where I show how people have been using it to apply for jobs or try to deep fake people out of it. And this is just an example of what people are up against now, because it looks legit. And you can be whoever you want. I have a great video of Elon Musk and having a chat over TikTok, or you've possibly seen one of the new, Brad Pitt fighting Tom Cruise at the top of a rooftop. It looks just like out of a video quality. It looks straight out of Mission Impossible level quality, and it's just completely AI driven. And it's a fantastic view as to what is possible right now, and it's only getting faster. This is done, by the way, on a local desktop with a gamer PC level of machinery, nothing too fancy. But bullying does happen when I talk about this, and this is why I kind of go from like the very difficult part and I go to what more people are more understanding of, is that bullying very often happens due to either mistakes that are made and they just get out of control. And I want to ask you, how many of you recognize this chap? Star Wars kid? Legend, yeah. Do you know his real name? Giselle Rana. He's based out of Canada. And what's very interesting is he's probably one of the first ever viral memes that was out there. I think launched in about 2003. And of course, if you don't know the backstory of this was a video that was found by his friends that was recorded by him in a school hall and then uploaded to the net. And it went wild. Do you want to see what Gazelle does now?
It has somewhere in the neighborhood of 1 billion views, a number that's still growing. But it was in those first days after shooting this video, something no one was ever supposed to see, that things exploded.
Within about 2 weeks, it was on the cover of the New York Times.
Giselle Raza was only 15 years old when classmates found a video cassette he'd shot at school. They uploaded his video to the web and it snowballed. People added sounds and effects, and it kept growing. When producers from Leno and Letterman, and admittedly this journalist, reached out, he and his parents turned down every interview request. The fear was that people weren't laughing with him, but at him.
At that time, when you have a 15-year-old going through this, I'm not convinced more attention was the right remedy.
But the #1 viral video on the internet is the so-called Star Wars kid.
Now, 19 years later, Raza's part of a documentary shining light on a story he never before wanted told. It's not just a look at what happened, but also what it meant. He revisits the trauma, how he had to leave school, and how the media attention forced his family to move out of their home.
I'm just like...
But he also meets one of the people who originally spread the video. American blogger Andy Bea was 25 years old when he saw it, linked to it, and named it the Star Wars Kid.
I have an enormous regret posting the video. I haven't talked to anybody about this. This is the first time, and I'm just profoundly sorry.
Now, that's something Raza never heard from his former classmates, an apology. His family sued the students and settled out of court. He's moved on, he studied law and rebuilt his life. He's never seen the other students again. Now, one sad irony in this story is how his image was used and spread despite being a minor. The law would have protected him better, he says, if instead of making a video, he'd committed a crime. Mike Armstrong, Global News, Montreal.
So I show this video to kids and I explain this is what happens when you accidentally share. This is why you shouldn't share without permission, etc. And I get them to look at the person beside them and say, imagine this person had to leave their home because of you. And it usually sparks a kind of, oh, I didn't think that would happen because I did this. I said, okay. And we start the discussion about what is, consent and sharing, etc., and making sure, because people are always chasing, I want to be the next, viral YouTuber, I want to be the next viral influencer, etc. And it becomes very difficult for them to kind of see beyond that boundary rather than understanding that it can affect and have blowback on everyone else. So this is all exceptionally horrible stuff. But it does get better. You have to talk to the kids. And it's one of the single and most simple things you can do, but it's honestly, it's probably one of the most difficult things that people don't do. It's like, hey, I'm going to sit down and talk to you about what this stuff actually means, etc., and so you can understand what's going on. Now, my kids they know for a fact, short of them throwing the computer out the window and it ending up looking like this, I can probably fix it. They know, and they know strongly that I have been a security expert for years, so they know there's a hacker in the house, so they know I know all the tech stuff, so they can't argue with me on stuff as easy as others. So I'm taking that into account as well. But my kids understand they can come to me and talk and say, something went wrong, Papa, can you help? Now, I sat down with my son and I said, dude, if it goes wrong, come to me immediately. Don't wait. Just come to me. And know that I might get angry. And I'm not angry at you, it's because I'm scared. Because I'm now trying to figure out what I've got to do. I might get scared. And if I get scared and I get angry, and then I start shouting or do something at you, you remember one thing. And he goes, what's that? I said, time. Time out. T. Time, something. It is a technique I have learned when I'm under stress, because when I was under stress, I would always do this. It's my, if you've ever watched me doing talks, I'll do time out, redo, take two, whatever. It focuses me to fix the problem in front of me. So if he does time, it is a signal to me as a dad to go, Niall, get your shit together and sort out the goddamn problem and protect your son in front of you. Fix this and blame later. But fix it now. Use that magnificent brain of yours to do what you are here to do and what he's asking you to help for. And he knows that. Now, my daughter has the same code, time. They both know this. And I told them, do not be ever afraid to come and ask me for help with that, because I will always do my best. Now, I told you I'm still on chapter 13, I'm still on chapter 9. So we talk to our kids. We have at the dinner table, there's no phones. It's harder for me than for the children, because I usually am dealing with the US as they wake up and I want to talk to them, and I just put my phone away. So at dinner time, we have no phones. But we talk, and I ask them stupid things like, what was on TikTok today? Something goofy. Are you all in the same chats? I have asked my son to show me what he learned in computer class, and he learned copy-paste one day. And I sat there for 10 minutes as he showed me how he copies and pastes in a document. It was hard. It's extremely hard, very hard in patience. However, it's very interesting to see, and then it builds trust. Now, I also said that friends are people we know in real life. I showed him this side, he went, who are those? I felt very old then. And I said, people we know in real life. I find who your friends are, people you know in real life. You cannot have, I said, at your age, you cannot have digital friends. People we don't know. And he's in a Snap group with a load of friends. He's a big car nerd, loves to go car spotting in Stavanger. And I said, I don't know who that person is. Oh, that guy lives over in Hundvåg, and that's a little island in Norway, or in Stavanger. And I said, why don't you all come to our house and watch the Grand Tour Top Gear? And he goes, that'd be a great idea. So I got to meet the kids. Cool, nice and handy. We learn from the people around us. We learn from our parents. If we're constantly online, they're constantly online. It's a challenging problem. We have to talk to them. and understand what to do and help them understand what to do. And if you're wondering what kids are actually installing, it's online in Buffter, and they'll show you. What I can't understand is those who have for like Tinder when they're like 12, or like all this. But it's YouTube and Google and Snapchat, and Vips came along in 24 when I think they allowed it for under 12s or under 13s. Now, you can put in parental controls on your devices. I'm going to show you all of them, but you cannot control everything. It's absolutely impossible because it takes an immense amount of precision and practice to get right. I've made mistakes. And I will tell you one of my worst ones. I have my son, we have a family group in this lovely device called family sharing. So I have all my kids, I have the 2 kids and my wife's, we're all in the family sharing group. Mine was connected up with my payment card, and I had disabled it so he could use to buy something and forgot to re-enable the block. And he ended up buying 10,000 kroners worth of Robux. And he emptied out my slush fund. Now, myself and my wife have a joint account, and I get a little amount of money, a kind of stipend or pocket money, so I can buy Lego or whiskey, because otherwise our house would be made of Lego bricks. And it's there, and he managed to empty that, and he was upset. Not that I was angry. I wasn't angry at him. I was angry at myself because I made a mistake, and I have 25 years in this business, and I still screwed up. I tell this story to all parents because I want them to know it does happen. And you are not a failure if you do this. Because I don't consider myself a failure. I just consider it a very expensive learning experience. Family sharing is phenomenal. My son has it. We have the location sharing turned on. And it's not because we want to know where he is. We want to know where he left his phone or his AirPods. But it has a really interesting, cool thing. He can send me a text message with either the Batman logo or the Joker logo, clown. If it's Batman, it's come get me. I want out, come get me. If it's Joker, come get me and look goddamn crazy. Be angry. And he goes, but why would I want that one? I says, think about it. You're in a thing, you don't want to be there, but you don't want to lose face. I will be the angry dad, the asshole father, the one who said, get your ass in the car. What the hell? Why? I've been searching for you for 2 hours. You all right? Yeah, I'm good. He knows he has that safety net. It's great. It's an ideal. He just has to say, he loses nothing. He doesn't have to say, I sent a text message. He sends me a thing, and if he does like a missed call or something, and I can't get hold of him, I'll see where he is, and I'll give him a call back if I don't get him again. I might just go and wait and ring him and find out what he wanted. We have to work that bit out yet. Google Family also works great. There's also Microsoft have one specifically. For those of you with Snapchat, believe it or not, there is a family center for Snapchat as well. If people aren't using it with their kids, I highly recommend it. It's very good. You cannot see what they're texting. You can just see who they're texting, which is a very handy thing, especially if you're trying to figure out what's going on. Family pairing also exists for TikTok, believe it or not. And if you have Instagram, which a lot of folks do, there is teen accounts which are locked down and much more aggressively secured up for you. Discord is massive if you are a gamer. My son, first thing when he turned 13, he wanted Discord. And he wanted me to put it on the PC or a laptop because it didn't work so well on the Xbox. For those of you who don't know about Discord, Discord is not actually just an app, it's a platform. It supports video sharing, voice calling, messaging, etc. Unfortunately, Discord is having a massive problem with people with nefarious and very often kind of dodgy intentions trying to track kids. And it's also used in conjunction with Roblox quite a lot. And I'll explain that in a second. If you have the Xbox, of course, you probably have screen time for your family sharing or whatever, the same with the PSN or with even Nintendo. And then we get to the Roblox thing. Now, for those of you who have children in this age group, this is a virus, in my estimation. However, it's a game platform. It is not a game. It allows creators to build applications that they can run and sell to other people on the platform. It's a fantastically popular really crap graphics thing. It's basically like Minecraft in that kind of graphic style, but it allows them to create games. What has been coming along is there's a virtual in-game currency called Robux. Remember that 10 grand of Niall spent on Robux that he didn't want to? That's this. Now, you use it to buy skins, buy other games, access, etc. But kids are mad to buy Robux because it's in-game currency and it's freemium or free to play, but it's if you want, you play to win. And unfortunately, there's a number of accounts have been cropping up, which are people who are contacting children saying, get onto Discord. If you send me a photo, I'll give you 200 Robux, etc. And are basically buying for $2 or whatever, $1 worth of real currency, naked photos of kids being supplied by the children themselves so they can buy the latest skin in-game. 34,000 accounts were shut down last year in the last kind of thing, and it's been a massive challenge, and it's really coordinated with Discord. I'm nothing against the two platforms. I just mean that they just need if your kids are playing with them, they need to understand this. And my daughter started playing with my son on this, and we've had this conversation. If anyone contacts you or tries to contact you that's not Magnus or my son's name, please come and contact us, talk to us directly, and we'll help you understand it. She understands that it's not me mistrusting her, it's more I mistrust everyone else around that. And she's happy, she's okay with that. So if you're using WhatsApp, Telegram, and Signal, these don't have family controls. And very often WhatsApp is a common thing being used by sports groups and other things to coordinate because there's a lot of people using it. Unfortunately, it doesn't have the same controls. And while I don't think I'm not against end-to-end messaging encryption, I don't think we need Pentagon-grade Signal chats between my 13-year-old and his other friends, where reporters can drop in. The core message of this talk is talk to your children. Engage with them and help them and navigate and understand that the internet is hard and can be potentially dangerous. My kids are both Irish and Norwegian. They're Norwegian first, they're Irish second. It's where they live. They speak Norwegian, they speak English as well. When I take them to Ireland, I have to remind them they need to eyeball the driver when they cross the road. They cannot do the Norwegian, I'm just going to walk across here. There's a crosswalk, I'm walking, it's fine. In Ireland, the cars don't stop till you put your foot in the road, and they may not stop in time. It's not out of badness, it's just that the way it's a different driving culture. And I said, when you're there, you stop, you acknowledge the driver, you make sure, actually it would be this way, you make sure, I have to make you laugh a little bit. I realized when I did this the first time round, people were dying in the audience, so if I'm going to make you a little bit so you come out on a high, I look this way and I say, eyeball the driver. Tell them you want to cross the road, make sure they stop, and then cross. And they went, why? I said, otherwise you're going to be looking like a hood ornament on that car. And it's not because we're bad drivers, they don't think. So they've learned this. They also have learned that it's different cultures in Ireland, so there's different things being said and whatever, so they have to learn that. And it's the same thing. So we talk to them a lot about this stuff. I talk to them about the stuff online. I've talked to my kids' school about this stuff. And I've helped them understand that it can and will be better if they talk to their parents or someone, an adult they trust. There's a hell of a lot of information on that. So I've made a nice GitHub repository where you can download all the links, all the links there, all the information from the, sorry, if you can't connect that, all the information from the various Norwegian security, like for example, Politi, Bufdir, Mediatilsynet, Barnetilsynet, etc., all those great organizations, and they're kind of proper good stuff on it. So you can kind of there, and I am taking pull requests. If someone wants to go, hey, wouldn't it be great if we talked about this? I said, yes, fantastic, let me help you write that out. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a horribly hard talk to deliver. It's a horribly hard talk to listen to. I appreciate that you sat through it. I hope that you've taken the message away that we will be better and make sure that everyone around us is safer because we know more now. And also that we are going to help people. Like, you don't have to go up and say, hey, all this is wrong. You just have to kind of say, listen, have you thought about? And help people understand to be better. With that, are there any questions? Yes, sir.
Yes. I know there's an initiative going on now, because, at like the children level schools. Basically, no smartphones until you leave. Yeah, the first, like, until you're 13.
Okay.
What's your take on it?
So for the video, what is the take on a lot of the Norwegians schools going for no smartphones till you're 13? Yes and no. I believe having phone-free schools is a good thing. My son is in one of those. He has to deposit his phone in the morning and he gets it back when he goes home. You bring up an important point, which I didn't mention. A lot of the problems people have with this is the fact that when one of the kids gets access to an app, all the other kids have to get access, which means your choice as a parent or guardian has been taken away by some other parent, which is another thing of it takes a village. And by doing it at this kind of level, it kind of makes it easier because we've offset, I don't want to be the strict parent. I had a parent say to me once, I find it very hard to say no to my children. I said, I find it very easy to do that. It's actually quicker than saying yes. It's 2 letters versus 3. And I absolutely, Sindra, I take your opinion on this. I think there's no kind of good answer for this, other than the fact that if you are a parent, you're saying, oh, it's okay, my kid has this, remember, and then you've made a decision for all the other 30 kids in the class, or 20 kids in the class. And if you then go, ooh, it's like everyone has to have a red bottle. Well, then I would probably be a little bit more skeptical to it, So you have to understand, and this needs to be taken up at a kind of both a school and a family and around a group level, whatever. And it's really hard because not everyone understands this. So I think if you're looking for an initiative that helps other parents survive this kind of wave of, oh, well, John has Snapchat and he's 12 or he's 10, I want to have Snapchat because I'm the only one left out. It's a real hard, there's no easy answer for it. I have an opinion on it that I believe they could have phones, yes, whether smartphones, it'd be cheaper for the parents because they're like, if you give them a Nokia, 5210, it'll never break. You could put that thing on the front of a tank and it'd knock it out. But it's hard. Everyone wants the new stuff. It's hard. Yes, it is hard to say no to kids, but I find that just give them a reason as well as why they can't have it. Yes, sir.
Kids learn so much more by imitation than by anything verbal. What are things that we can do as parents to demonstrate responsible technologies, especially to very young children?
Wow. What can we do as parents to demonstrate responsible technology to young children? I told you that we put our phones away at dinner time. We do that. When my parents come to visit, my dad finds this hilarious. I've told him to put his phone away and turn it on silent. And he finds that he's not allowed to take calls at the dinner table very odd. But I said, my house, my rules. You did that for me for 18 years. If you ever watched this, sorry, Dad. No, I think there's showing them, like, for example, putting your phone down for a bit. Like we have started watching like Mestrens Mester or Team Pulse as a kind of family activity. And if you've ever haven't watched Team Pulse and you're Norwegian, Jesus, it's like someone's cutting onions inside in your living room. But we do it because it encourages us to be together for at least an hour and have a common thing to talk about. I'm sure my grandparents went through this from when the television and radio and went from the paper to this. I'm sure. I believe that if you show your kids that it's possible to leave your phone down, it's very hard. I turn my phone to silent. I have it shut down from from 10 o'clock at night. I don't take any work notifications after about 7. So I just put it down. And if that's all I can say, really, just show as best you can. I believe we're at time. 1 more minute. I have one more question. Yes, madam. What would it take to put AI up in front to say, hey, you can't do that? Apple have some of that with their whole kind of nudity filters. I think it'll be bypassed. Listen, I saw there was this, so I've worked with biometrics before, and it was back in 2001, and I managed to bypass fingerprint validation with a gummy bear. But I don't think, I had this discussion with someone that says, I remember saying to someone, I've never said to my sons, don't send news. I said, don't send news to anyone you don't know, or you don't want them to be seen by, or you don't trust. And he goes, okay. And the woman was really upset with me. She said, well, why didn't you say don't send news? I said, well, I really don't think it's going to not happen. So I'm hoping I can just help him, guide him, but I don't know. Do I think there will be an AI solution for this? Possibly in the future. Do I think it's a good idea? No idea. I'd have to think about it. It's a great question. But I... Yeah. Yeah. I think that's hilarious. Yes. Yeah. Man shaves his nipple. Oh, it's gone. But you know, it's really hard. There's bypasses to everything, and humans are ingenious at getting around stuff. All right. I'll leave that as the last question, and I just want to thank you so much for suffering through this, and I appreciate it. Have a great rest of your conference. Thank you so much.